Hello, this is Justice for Ezeugo family. My name is Kingsley Ezeugo. In this video, I will be briefing you on 5 claims that we have issued against the British government and other agencies and individuals who have been involved in these unprecedented crimes, which is the subject of this public importance campaign. First of all, I will be showing you the claim against the British government, a £10 billion claim against the British government, and I will come to that later. We have 5 claims here, which the British government and the JudiciaryUK doesn't want you to know about. You will get to see what the Hendon MP, David Pinto Chinsky, is covering up. He is the MP who have the responsibility to raise this case in the House of Commons. But instead of doing so, Mr. Pinto Chinsky has become simply a proxy in an attempt to cover up these crimes. But you will find that this is truly the most serious, alarming, and disturbing case with harrowing accounts of hundreds of heinous and abominable crimes that span over 3 decades. This is clearly a case of considerable public importance. Hence, we all have a duty to ensuring that it exposed to the public to end the ongoing murder of cover-up at the Judiciary UK. We are dealing with truly unprecedented, unbelievable events that is impossible to describe with by words. This is arguably the saddest and the most disturbing case that you will ever hear. So I have just filed, as I said, 5 claims. The first claim is a £10 billion claim against the British government. This claim, it is case KB 2024 003927, and the parties are Kingsley Ezeugo and the government of the United Kingdom, served on the government legal department. As you can see, the damages sought in that claim is £10 billion. This claim was issued on the 20th of December 2024. Sorry, it was issued on the 27th of November 2024, as clearly shown on the claim form. This is one of the 5 claims that we have recently issued. I ask you to visit our campaign profile on Twitter at Ezeugo Children, EZEUGO, as you can see, at Ezeugo Children. Where on that profile you'll be able to read details about this case, to find out why this case need to be issued, and the need that you, the member of the public, should be concerned with it, to help to ensure that those who committed these crimes are held accountable. I'm sure you have no difficulty, you will have no difficulty in finding, after reading the evidence and reaching the conclusion that this is undoubtedly a case of considerable public importance, and one which you, the members of the public, need to be involved with. The next case that I will show you is claim number 2, which we issued on the against Barnet, Enfield, and Haringey Mental Health NHS Trust. As you can see on the claim form, is KB 2024 004231. This claim was issued on the 20th of December 2024. This, as you will see on the claim form, the name of the parties is against Ezeugo, Kingsley Ezeugo, versus Barnet, Enfield, and Haringey Mental Health NHS Trust, whose registered office address is at St. Anne's Hospital. The claim, as you will see, seeks over £485 million in damages against this trust. Again, you will be able to read the detailed evidence in this case in order to appreciate the truly unprecedented nature, the event leading to this claim, and the need for it to be heard, and the need for you, the members of the public, to be concerned with what happened that led to this case. The evidence in this case is clearly will clearly demonstrate the abuse of the Mental Health Act, the worst kind of abuse of the Mental Health Act by doctors. This is, of course, an NHS trust, and the NHS doctors paid by your taxes. But what these individuals did is truly abominable. This is not something that you will expect a doctor to become a murderer, literally, to become involved in a conspiracy to kidnap, to torture, and to murder people. But you will see the clearest, the finest evidence that this is what these doctors are engaged in. This is what they did in this case. And the evidence in this case will make you question how many other people that have experienced what I experienced. In my case, as you will read from the evidence, I survived. I came out alive. I not only came out alive, but I came out with colossal amount of evidence, which is unprecedented in a hospital setting. But you will get to read yourself to find out why you must do all you can to ensure that these people does not get away with what they did, and they cannot do this to another human being. So we have, in this case, rogue doctors include SEMA, S-E-E-M-A, SEMA Sukwa, S-U-K-H-A-W-L, SEMA Sukwa, Thomas Chu, Mohammed Bott, Asim Sado, Jalil Mohammed, Nadji Katan, Tatiana Luhakova, Nikki Di Taranto, and Henry Fagin, F-A-R-G-I-N. These are the individuals who are involved in the kidnapping, the 3-year hostage taking, the torture, the unbearable torture for 3 year long unbearable torture. They solicited to murder me, and they attempted to assassinate me. And this is all part, as you will see the evidence. It's not what I'm saying. You will get to read the covert recordings, which shows without any doubt whatsoever that these individuals were engaged in a criminal conspiracy to assassinate me because of the evidence that you will read that are in my possession. But this evidence should help to hold them accountable, to ensure that they cannot do this to anybody else. These 9 rogue doctors are simply murderers disguised under the cover of a national health service to commit murder and other heinous crimes. We must ensure that they cannot get away with these crimes, because they're going to do it to somebody else if they get away with it. The third claim that I will show you is claim KB 2024 004238. As you can see, it was issued on the 20th of December 2024, and the parties are Kingsley Ezeugo and the D. Delta Pierce Glenn Solicitors, DPG Solicitors Limited. The second defendant is Rajiv Packer of Garden Court Chambers, and the third defendant is a solicitor called Carr Solicitors. And the claim, as you will see, seeks in excess of 365 million pounds against this defendant. Again, I urge you to go to the profile, our campaign profile, and read detail about this case. There is very detailed particulars of claim and a considerable amount of unprecedented amount of evidence which supports each of these claims. You will be able to find out why these claims have to be issued and why it should concern you as a member of the public to get involved to ensure that these individuals are held accountable. The public interest of this case cannot be overstated. When you read the evidence, you will find that out yourself, as indeed all the numerous senior and appellate judges did, who have been involved in this case did. So we have here a second case of an absolutely unacceptable abuse of the Mental Health Act. And in the third case, we have the defendants who made all the crimes that you will hear, that you will read about in this case possible. Because without these rogue lawyers in the third claim, the DP Joe Eggleton of DPG Solicitors Limited, and Rajiv Thacker of Garden Court Chambers, and Karen Todner of Karen Todner Solicitor, formerly was KM Todner Solicitors. Without them, none of these crimes would have been possible. And you will find out in the evidence when you read about these claims. And the fourth claim is a claim number KB 2024 003788. This claim was issued on the 22nd of November 2024, and the parties in that claim are Kingsley Ezeugo versus the man we can only describe as child rapist Hugh, also known as Hugh Richard Edward Tomlinson of Matrix Chambers in Gray's Inn. The claim, as you will see, seeks £250 million against this defendant, Hugh Richard Edward Tomlinson. This is the fourth claim. Again, Hugh Edward Tomlinson, you will find, is the henchman, the man who coordinated these crimes, the man who he was the henchman that made these crimes possible on behalf of the British government and the Judiciary UK. This is the man who ensured that these crimes were covered up, and this man poses a danger to every child. This man is a huge threat to every family. The crime of this man cannot be underestimated, and we will ensure that he is held accountable for his crimes. So this is claim number 4. We have then claim number 5. Again, this claim, the parties, there are 8 defendants in this claim. A claim reference KB 2024 003922, issued on the 22nd of November 2024. The claimant again is Kingsley Ezeugo. The defendants are Brett Wilson LLP, Legal Futures Limited, Andrzej Bojenski of 4 Field Court, Gray's Inn, the publishing organization Bailey, BAILLI, and another company, Inform, INFORRM Limited. It is worth knowing is what to mention, worthy of mentioning, that Inform is owned by the defendant in the 4th claim, Hugh Tomlinson. So he's also connected to this claim. The other defendants are Press Reader Limited, David Swarbrick of 10 Halifax Road, HD6 2AG, and a company called VLEX Limited. These are the defendants in this claim, and the claim seeks a damage of £13 million against these 8 defendants. This is the final claim. You will find various judicial correspondences, including from our campaign page at Ezeugo Children, which I showed you earlier on, at Ezeugo Children. You will find the numerous judicial correspondences, including correspondences to the Chief Justice, Mrs. Carr, the President of the Civil Appeals, who is also the Master of the Rolls, Mr. Vox. You will see correspondence to many senior members of the judiciary, and I can categorically tell you that every senior member of the judiciary, all senior judges, and every judge worthy of knowing in the UK knows about this case. They know about these crimes. They know the people who committed these crimes. You will also see correspondences, other correspondences to the various government departments, including correspondences to the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, to the Attorney General, to the DPP, the Director for public prosecution. And the CPS, you will find that all of them knows about this case. The Prime Minister and all these departments, law enforcement departments and agencies and individuals, all knows about this case. They knows the people who committed these crimes. And the reason why we also wrote to the National Crimes Agency will be apparent to anyone reading the evidence in this case, because this is one of the most serious, highly organized criminal activity that this country has ever seen. You will see from this correspondence calls, among other things, for the arrest and the prosecution of the various individuals involved in these crimes, including the so-called Sir Brian Levison, who was at the time the third most senior judge, the head of criminal justice, and the president of the King's Bench Division, and the author of the Levison Inquiry. It also calls for the arrest and prosecution of the so-called Sir Peter Openshaw, who was then a High Court judge, the so-called Mr. Justice Openshaw. It calls for the arrest and prosecution of the so-called Sir David Foskett, the so-called Lord Justice Cobb, the so-called Mr. Justice Poole, the so-called Mr. Justice Andrew Becker, and the various other judges, so-called judges, who are involved in these crimes. It calls for the arrest and prosecution of the various senior lawyers at the government legal department who were also involved in this crime. It calls for the arrest, prosecution of Hugh Tomlinson of Matrix Chambers, as well as the police officers, including the former Commissioner of Police, Cressida Dick, for her involvement in these crimes and the cover-up of these crimes. It also calls for the arrest of the 9 rogue doctors who brought about the event leading to the issue of claim number 2 at Barnet, Enfield, Haringey Mental Health NHS Trust, at Chase Farm Hospital, where they work. So these are no secrets, and the crimes that this individual committed include there are hundreds of crimes, all recorded crimes. This is not disputed, not made up. There are hundreds of crimes spanning over the period of 3 decades, and still ongoing to date. And these crimes include the abduction, the sexual abuse and attempted murder of children. It includes the kidnapping, the hostage taking, the torture, solicited murder, and attempted assassinations on me at Wormwood Scrub Prison and Chest Farm Hospital, Enfield. These are crime scenes. The prison and the Chest Farm Hospital are both crime scenes, and extremely serious crimes happen there. And I have no doubt that it is still happening now to other people. And among other things, this campaign is fighting to expose these crimes, to help free men of sound mind who are still held up in this crime scene, or Chest Farm Hospital and other mental institutions where these rogue doctors and the people, like-minded rogue doctors, are still operating their criminal activities. So here, members of the public, we are dealing with what is truly Britain's worst scandal. We have absolutely proven the collusion, as you will see from the evidence, the unprecedented evidence that you will get to read through our profile. We have proven absolutely, without any doubt whatsoever, the collusion between Judiciary UK, the Ministry of Justice, the Metropolitan Police, and in the Ministry of Justice, which includes the entire government legal department, as indeed you will hear the government agent in a covered recorded statement clearly expose all this. You get to hear it yourself. All this evidence. There are tons and tons of these recordings. And you get to hear the government agent. These are senior government lawyers telling you exactly what I'm telling you, confirming exactly what I'm telling you, that's what has happened to my family and I, and still happening till this day. So in the Ministry of Justice, this collusion includes the entire government legal department, the court and tribunal services, the Crown Prosecution Service, the Metropolitan Police, Stephen Morley, Mr. Stephen Morley, Morley, counsel for the Commission of Police, told the Court of Appeal on the 9th of June 2010, he confirmed that in the Metropolitan Police, this is a case that the Commission of Police are involved, and it's not just one Commission of Police. Each Commission of Police has been involved in this crime, which started since 1995. And he also confirmed that there are hundreds of police officers from the Metropolitan Police who have been involved in this crime. So we are talking about a case of such scale like no other. So we also have the Barnet, Enfield, and Haringey Mental Health Trust involved in this case, as well as Essex Police. Essex Police in this absolutely proven criminal conspiracy by the state and Judiciary UK. So this is a scandal like no other that this country have seen before. And the cover-up is also, the scandal was started by Brian Levison, who was the third most senior judge. And the cover-up, the ongoing cover-up, continues at the highest level of the judiciary, including, as you will see from the evidence that you will get to read, the most senior judge of all, the Chief Justice herself, Mrs. Carr. This is, as I said, a 3-decade-long case of elaborate hoax and cover-up, headed by the most senior members of the judiciary, including Brian Levison. As I said, it's a matter of public record. He was the third most senior judge, the head of criminal justice, and the president of the King's Bench Division, and as well as the author of the Levison Inquiry. Please, I urge you, please, in order to be able to appreciate truly the unprecedented nature of this case, as indeed all the rational judges, this was the way the rational judges described this case, as unprecedented and of the extreme. In order to appreciate why they found that this case is unprecedented and of the extreme, and a case that raised issue of considerable public importance and that is in the public interest that it must be heard. I urge you to read the evidence. You will be under no one will be under any illusion reading the evidence that the case is indeed so and deserving your attention to help this campaign to succeed in order to safeguard others from the unspeakable crimes that my family and I have suffered as a result of this scandal. Yeah. So you will see there is also a conspiracy of silence in the British media in what is an extremely serious case of public interest. As you will find in the evidence from the independent psychiatric report, which have confirmed that I suffer absolutely no mental illness. You will also see evidence from the General Medical Council themselves confirming that I suffer no mental illness and that these rogue doctors were indeed engaged in this criminal conspiracy in deliberately misdiagnosing me with a totally fake and non-existent mental illness in an attempt, in their most desperate but totally void attempt to undermine me in order to cover up these crimes. And they failed. They have not succeeded in doing so, and they will never succeed because the evidence clearly exposed them. By their own words, you will hear the covered recordings of themselves confirming that they were engaged in a criminal conspiracy and cover-up. You will hear them confirming these individuals were engaged in a kidnapping, to murder. That's what they were doing. But they didn't know that all these things has been recorded. And this is why I said, I urge you again, ladies and gentlemen, to please ensure that these people are held accountable. Because these people, nothing could undermine the public confidence in the NHS than what these doctors did to me. And when you read the evidence, you will find out what they did, exactly what they did, and why it should matter to you to ensure that they cannot do that to somebody else. So, although the General Medical Council found from the evidence that these individuals deliberately misdiagnosed me with totally fake mental illness, they have taken no action against the trust. They have taken no action against these rogue doctors. Sorry, it's not up to them to take action against the trust, but they have the power to take action against the rogue doctors, to strike them off from register, because they pose considerable danger to every member of the public. They did it to me. Imagine how many other people that they have done it to. And the only reason why you hear about my case is because I survived. And you will get to see how I was able to survive 4 years long of torture, 4 years long repeated attempts where they were injecting me with malicious substances, obnoxious substances, that were causing me continuous heart attacks and muscle failure in their desperate attempt to force my heart to fail, to murder me. So you will see how I managed to survive it. It's not just about my perseverance. My perseverance played a lot of part in that. But you will see how good members of the public, good human beings, exposed them to the United Nations. That's how I survived. That's the only reason why they let me go. So we have to ensure not everybody will have the opportunity to get the sort of evidence that I have. And I have the finest evidence and tons of them. to ensure that these individuals are held accountable. And this is what motivated me to get this evidence, is to ensure that they can never do this to someone else. Because it's one thing me coming to tell you what they did to me, but if you haven't seen the evidence yourself, you would say, well, anyone could say that. But you get to read the evidence. And that's not what you expect from a doctor. You're supposed to trust your doctor. After all, these are doctors paid by your taxes. You don't expect them, you go to hospital and they engage in conspiracy and murder you while you are in their, they just simply kidnap you and murder you because they don't want you to expose what happened to your children. They don't want you to expose that the third most senior judge, the so-called Sir Brian Levison, the so-called Mr. Justice Foskett, and other so-called judges are involved in the abduction and the abuse and the attempted murder of your children. That's not going to happen in this case. I'm going to make sure that they are held accountable. And I'm asking you to help me to ensure that they are held accountable to safeguard other members of the public. And another conspiracy of silence that I've found is from the press, the British press, that always fixated on Russia, on Iran, on Afghanistan, on Syria, and North Korea. They will expose everything that goes on in that country. And it's good that they do those things, because no one's supposed to suffer the sort of injustices that they expose in those countries. And I applaud them for doing so. But why then, on the same time, one will ask, in a case where we are not only talking about the police, the Ministry of Justice, the rogue doctors, we're not talking about these other peripheral institutions, but we are talking about a case that involves these institutions, but also the judiciary itself and the most senior members of the judiciary. The question is, why are the British press silent? They have the evidence. They know that these crimes were committed. They know who committed these crimes. Why are they silent? And I tell you, I give you one example. I have at least been contacted by two major press networks. One of them, ITV, and I want to mention their name to shame them. And they took their time to investigate the case. They were all the time in contact with me as they were investigating this case. And after they wrote to me to confirm that their lawyers, their expert lawyers, and their specialist doctors have all confirmed everything that I've said. They've confirmed the evidence that you're about to read. They've confirmed that these rogue doctors were engaged in criminal conspiracy, and they deliberately kidnapped me when they knew that I have no ounce of mental illness in me. Never suffered any mental illness. There's no mental illness at all in my immediate family or distant family. I'm dealing with something that is so unprecedented. They confirm, you will also hear them in this covert recording. They knew what I was dealing with. They knew that I was fighting extremely serious injustices. They knew that I went to prison not because I committed any offense. They confirmed all that. They knew that I'm a victim of racial injustices. They confirmed all that. They knew also that I suffer absolutely no mental illness. They repeatedly confirmed that. Even in their own medical records, it is confirmed that. Yet, they were told to kidnap me, torture me, and assassinate me. And they got involved and do it, and attempted to do it. So why then is the press here silent? Why does it seem the last correspondence that I received from ITV was to say that they were about, haven't confirmed the evidence, they were about to break the case. And they were going to hold these rogue doctors accountable and others involved in this case accountable. And that was the last I heard from them. So it's apparently someone then got onto them to tell them not to break the case. Keep the evidence away from the public. And they did. So the conspiracy of silence is everywhere. And it's not something you will expect. This is not the sort of a case, when you're reading the evidence, it's not the sort of a case you will expect the media to be silent about. It is wrong for them to be silent, but they are silent. So this is what we are faced with. And this is why members of the public, it is down to you and I to take all necessary measures in exposing this case and ensure that those who committed these crimes must be held accountable. I'm sure that any rational person with this evidence in this case will have no difficulty in figuring out why Lord Justice Ward said, and I quote, among other things, he said, "Reading about this case fills me with horror. And this case, and this is a case that the Commissioner of Police cannot win." So it falls upon us, the members of the public, to do all we can to ensure that the public know about this evidence. And when they know it, they will ensure that the people who did these crimes are held accountable, and so doing, safeguard the public. And this is why I'm going to plead with you, please, when you go to our campaign page, please sign the petition. We have 2 petitions there which need signing. The first petition, we ask the Prime Minister to end the abduction of the Ezeugo children by judges who abuse them. We have here a situation where judges were involved in the kidnapping, the abuse of my children, and the same judges have kidnapped me, put me in prison, haven't committed no offense, and they kidnapped my children and held them hostage till today to prevent my children giving evidence against the abusers. This is not happening in North Korea or Russia or Iran or Assad, Syria. It's happening in the UK, and it's absolutely unacceptable, and I resist it. The second petition, we asked the MP, David Pinto Doschinski, MP for Hendon. We asked him to do his duty to bring this case before the House of Commons, so that the House of Commons, who is supreme, will know what these public authorities and individuals in powerful places have been up to, and the ongoing cover-up, so that to ensure that the people who committed these offenses are to be held accountable for public safety, because it is in the public interest that this is done. These are undoubtedly heinous an abominable crime which no civilized society will allow. No civilized society will allow people who abuse children to kidnap the children, held them hostage, and stop them giving evidence against them. It shouldn't be allowed anywhere. And if it's happened in other countries, the press here will be criticizing them and exposing it. You question, why are they not doing it in this case? You will, I assure you, when you read the evidence, you will be absolutely outraged at what is happening. And we have the cover-up is being done by the most senior judges, including the Chief Justice, Mrs. Carr herself. And you will find from the evidence the reason why the Chief Justice is covering up these crimes. because the evidence you will see will show that in 2014, the then Mrs. Justice Carr was the mastermind in a plot to kidnap and to assassinate me in Chelmsford Prison then, in their desperate attempt to cover up these crimes then. Again, what saved me there was, as you will read, members of the public who found out what was happening exposed them, and I was moved away. And then I wrote, you will see a letter that I wrote amongst other people to the then Justice Secretary, Michael Gove, about this assassination plot and the cover-up. So the message got out. This is the only reason why they did not. They tried twice, on the 13th of October 2014, and then 13th, a month later, 13th of November 2014. And each time I was lucky, as they held me, trying to smuggle the last breath out of me, people walked in on them, people unconnected to the crime. That's what saved my life. This is why Chief Justice Mrs. Carr was then elevated to the Court of Appeal and then later appointed the Chief Justice as a reward for her involvement in these crimes. This is why she's ensuring that this case does not go to trial, because you members of the public will hear this. That's really what's going on. We should condemn it, and we should ensure that this is exposed, because all the rational judges, as you will hear, condemn these crimes. And all the rational judges say that this case must go to trial, and that the people who committed these crimes must be held accountable. And this is why I'm fighting to ensure that they cannot do this to another human being. And with your help, we will succeed to ensure that no parent or child suffer what we have suffered. So please sign the petition. We need the numbers. It doesn't cost you a thing, as you know. It's free, and it wouldn't take more than 5 minutes of your time, because as you will see, rather than to do his parliamentary duty, the MP, David Pinto Doncheski, has rather become a cover-up agent, and he's engaged in a conspiracy of silence and not been able to raise this case, ensure that the people who committed these crimes get away with absolute impunity. The CPS and the National Crimes Agency are also engaged in a conspiracy of silence. They are trying to suppress this evidence from the public by ensuring that the individuals involved in these crimes are not to be prosecuted. And the reason why they're doing it, of course, is because, as you will see from the evidence, those who committed these crimes are the most senior members of the judiciary. They are the most senior members of the Metropolitan Police. They are the senior government lawyers. They are NHS consultants. So they are covering up people in the higher position of authority. But this is not the public. The public won't accept this. Nobody will accept this sort of crime to be covered up. And I urge you, please, to help me to ensure that these crimes are exposed and those who committed these crimes are held accountable. As I said, contrary, the rational judges say that the people who committed this crime must be held accountable. And that's why they say that this case must go to trial, not least, as they say, because of the extreme nature, the unprecedented nature, the scale of the crime, and the identity of the criminals who committed them. And they found that it is in the public interest that they are to be held accountable. And yet you will see for 18 years they have obstructed this case from going to trial. And since Mrs. Carr has been appointed the Chief Justice, she has obstructed all the case from making any progress whatsoever in order to shield herself and her peers from being exposed for their crimes. The evidence is unprecedented, it's undisputable, it is undisputed, and there are tons and tons of it. They cannot challenge the evidence, and you will see that quite clearly. There's not been any person who raised question about the validity of the evidence, none whatsoever. But all you see is that they're doing everything to cover it up. It is the taxpayer, of course, who will bear the burden of these crimes. Because if they continue to cover it up, this case will not go away. I will simply take this case to international courts and jury and tribunals. So the case is going to be heard. But the longer it takes, the more money will cost the taxpayer. So that's where you get involved. And that should concern you to ensure that this case is dealt with expeditiously to limit the cost to the taxpayer. So you have the finest evidence. You can see quite clearly that this is provide an absolute proof that these crimes were committed and the identity of those who committed it. And what you cannot find is a single evidence of someone questioning the validity of the evidence that you're reading, or questioning that any of these crimes were committed. Not from the Prime Minister, not from the Chief Justice, Attorney General, the DPP, the CPS, the National Crime Agency, or from any of these criminals involved in this crime. And you will see every single one of the judges involved in the abduction, the abuse of my children. I have tagged them publicly and published them publicly. And I send them, all of them receive a copy of the banners bearing their name as child rapists. Because that's what the laws say. The laws say they are child rapists. They need to be held accountable for the sexual abuse of children. None of them have questioned the evidence, the publication, the validity of it. None. So you can act with confidence and support this campaign. This campaign is based on iron-cast evidence. It's not a campaign of hearsay. It's not a campaign of anonymous. I'm not anonymous, as you will see. Everything that I'm telling you and everything that you will read, you can confirm on the solid evidence backing them up. So this campaign is a fight for real change in the public interest, to hold people in powerful positions accountable, particularly those in law enforcement, for such heinous and abominable crime of such scale. And I absolutely refuse to back down, because as I said, and I'll say it again, when it comes to child safety and the safety of women, this campaign is uncompromising. When it comes to the sexual abuse of children, the abduction, attempted murder of a child, or any violence against women, no judge or nobody is above law. No judge is above law. The people involved in this crime, however high office they held, whatever their identity, has to be held accountable. So may I again please urge you, I keep repeating this because it's very important. To succeed, we need the numbers. We need you to sign the petitions. Please sign these petitions. All we ask is simply for the Prime Minister to do his job and for the MP to do his job. That's all we are asking. Please make time to read the detailed evidence so you can see yourself why it is in the public interest to fight this case. And we will fight it and win it with your help. And you will see why you should be involved and to ensure that this campaign succeeds, because this campaign is aimed to safeguarding women and children and families. By signing this petition, you will ensure the Prime Minister and the MP will do their job, and in so doing, they will safeguard children and women all over the country. You will not want what happened to the Ezeugo family happen to your family or to your loved ones. And it's important to ensure that it doesn't happen by ensuring that those who committed these crimes are held accountable. Because, as I said, if you let them get away with this, they will do it to another person. And I absolutely refuse to accept that someone could go through what I went through. I almost lost my life time and time again. I don't want someone to go through the torture that I went through, because when you read what happened to me, you will know why it is imperative to ensure that it doesn't happen to you or to your loved ones. And I ask you to take a stand with me in this issue. I refuse to believe that someone could abuse a child, abduct a child, or attempted to murder a child and could get away with impunity because they are judges, or they are police officers, or they are government lawyers, or they can kidnap, torture, and murder someone because they are doctors, and because someone, a rogue judge, a rogue government lawyer, and a rogue commissioner of police told them to do so. I refuse to accept it. There is a strong issue of principle that is behind this campaign, and I urge you to stand with me to ensure that this cannot happen again. Please remember, as I said earlier on, I'm not anonymous, and you will see all the evidence that you will hear, you are hearing, and you will read, has already been through scrutiny in the hands of the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, in the hands of the Chief Justice, Mrs. Carr, and the President of the Civil Appeal, and the Master of Role, Mr. Vox, and all the senior members of the judiciary have all this, the evidence that you have in this case, you read in this case, and a lot more. They have a lot more. There are a lot more that they have. They have huge bundles that you don't have access to. So they have scrutinized everything that needs to be scrutinized. The National Crime Agency have the bundle. The Attorney General have the bundle. The DPP and the CPS, all of them have the bundle. All of them knows about these crimes. They know who committed them. They know me. They know about this campaign. They know everything that I'm saying. But one thing you can never see, as I say this and I'll say it again, is any of them attempting to rebut anything that you are hearing or anything that you're about to read. None of them has ever challenged the evidence, because they can't challenge the evidence. Not only that, I have tons and tons of covered recordings of senior government lawyers, court officials, including CPS, the prison of officials and prisoners, NHS consultants and staff. I also have 7 confidential court files. So everything I'm saying is based on irrefutable evidence, absolute proof that no one can rebut. And everything shows a criminal conspiracy by the British government and judiciary, organized, directed, and covered up by at the highest level of the judiciary, by the most senior members of the judiciary. It is the evidence that they are afraid of, the public hearing. That's why they tried to assassinate me. Because they couldn't silence me. They couldn't get me to settle out of court. They didn't want the public to hear the evidence. And they made the biggest mistake of their life in trying to do that. And I survived it and came out with even more damning evidence. So they know my contact information. My contact information is on the public domain. You can contact me. If you have any question, please send me email, justiceforkingsley@yahoo.com. As you will find, the case against Brett Wilson, which is the 4th case, is against Brett Wilson and 7 others. It's in relation to them for aiding and abetting this and covering up these crimes through malicious publications online of extremely libelous information to cover up, to aid, to attempt to make people believe that what is happening and what happened to me was actually proper court decisions. They try to make people believe that I have been to prison justly because I committed an offense. But they knew to the contrary that all this is a result of criminal conspiracy and that I have committed no offense. They knew all these things, and yet they dared to continue to publish these materials. There were, of course, many other people who mistakenly, unknowingly, published many articles, including Solicitor Journal. They published the same malicious article, totally perverse so-called judgments, cover-up, stage, conspiracy-driven so-called judgment that these individuals published. But once they received the evidence from me, the evidence that you will hear, there were so many of them that published it. All of them immediately deleted and completely disassociated themselves from this, because they can see quite clearly that this is an innocent man. But this is a criminal conspiracy trying to make me look like something that I am not. To make people believe, deceiving people into believing that I was properly convicted, that I committed an offense, and that's why I went to prison. But I've never committed an offense in my life. I've never suffered any mental illness in my life. These people knew it. And you can see the connection, because all these 8 defendants in the 4th claim, Ezeugo versus Brett Wilson and 7 others, you will see that all of them are connected to these criminals involved in this case through the defendant in the 3rd claim, Hugh Tomlinson, because he also owned the Inform. It was Inform that he was using to get these individuals to make these libelous publications. So it's all part of the elaborate hoax to deceive people in their most desperate attempt to undermine me, so that people, when you read this libelous so-called judgment, these are cover-up, which has nothing. This is pure deliberate obstructions of justice and miscarriages of justice, to cover up the crimes, to deceive people, not to know what is actually going on. So when they put all these things in the public domain, try to blackmail me, people think that, oh, what is he complaining about? Because they didn't know. And this is why I'm urging you to read the evidence that these other good publishers read. They read it and immediately they deleted. And I can send you their email. You can see it yourself. They confirmed immediately they deleted the article. And they haven't. It's only these 8 individuals, which shows quite clearly they are clearly part of the cover-up. And this is why I brought this claim against them. And they must be held accountable for their involvement in aiding, abetting, and covering up this crime, because these are extremely serious crimes. So this is when injustice of this scale, as in this case, happen, every rational member of the public has a duty to ensure that those involved in it are held accountable. By misleading the public into thinking that something else, or rather than what is going on, is by itself, and make them accessory to these crimes in accordance to the law, because this is a joint enterprise. The law says if one of them is guilty of any crime, all of them are guilty of all the crimes. If one of them is in the process of committing a crime, or committed a crime, has committed a crime, all of them are guilty of all the crimes. That's what the laws say. So they are guilty of all these crimes by the principal culprits as an accessory in these crimes, which is why I sued them. So the evidence put their guilt under no doubt. As I say, it is the evidence that they are afraid of. The 7 confidential court files, the tons of covert recordings, some of them which I have released to them, and they can read it. These are verbatim recordings. They can read it, and these are by their own lawyers and their own people that they sent to kill me, confessing what they were told to do to me in their meetings. And I was able to record all these things because while they held me, kidnapped me, and held me hostage in prison, I bugged the prison, Wormwood Scrub prison. I bugged Wormwood Scrub prison. And when they tried to kill me there, and one of the people they tried to recruit didn't like what he was hearing. When he heard about me and then started asking other fellow prisoners about me, and they told him something completely different about me than what these people have told him, has told him. And he began, as he said, to make inquiries outside, and people who knew me outside from my campaign then told him what I was doing and what I was exposing. People who have managed to spend time and read about this case told them what actually happened. He said he wasn't prepared to murder an innocent man. And he came to speak to me and then expose what these guys, including Brian Levison, David Foskett, and others, and the Commissioner of Police, Cressida Dick, they were the people who want me murdered in prison. He came and exposed it to me. And I recorded what he said. And they wanted him to murder me. But he wasn't going to do it because after he read about me and how I was helping, using my legal skills to help fellow prisoners to get out of prison. What I've done over 13 years of pro bono work, helping people with all sorts of their legal problems. He wasn't prepared to kill. And that is why when I then raised this, it wasn't only him. You will also see at least 2 prison officials who, even a week before this gentleman came and spoke to me about what was happening and exposing it. A week before that, 2 prison officials, senior, they called the ASOs, already told me about it. You will see them. I recorded it as well. About their attempt on my life in prison. And they're worried that I was in a place that will have me killed, that they're going to kill me there. And one of them told me about his effort to move me since he became aware. These are good human beings. Since he became aware that they were planning to assassinate me, his attempt to move me, and all of them were frustrated. The governor, the inept governor, Sarah Pennington of Wormwood Scrub prisons, frustrated all his effort to do so because she was in cahoots. She was the agent that was arranging, they were using to arrange the people that assassinated me in prison. And that's why I want her to be arrested and prosecuted, because she was engaged in a criminal conspiracy to murder. These are serious crimes. Some of these crimes carry life imprisonment. So how can people in such position, judges, government lawyers, police officers, including Commissioner of Police, and the prison governor, be engaged, and these rogue doctors be engaged in such crimes? And how could they commit these crimes with absolute impunity? If you, members of the public, commit a small crime, you will be held accountable. And it's still the same so-called judges that will send you to prison, even for small crimes. How then would you allow them to commit such heinous crimes and get away with impunity, only to do it to somebody else again and again and again? No, it's time for a change. I'm fighting for this change. I want you to help me in the fight. This is not just my fight, it's a fight for all of us. I started the campaign, but it's not my campaign. This is a public campaign. It's a campaign that all of us has to work together for common goal, to hold these people accountable. Because we expect the judge, if anyone else could commit a crime, you wouldn't expect it to be a judge. A judge must be expected to display the highest level of integrity. And for a good reason, because they are judging us. These are people who will judge us. How can someone who will judge you be engaged in such heinous crimes? How are you going to let them free? What is the sense in that? They need to be held accountable. In holding them accountable, you deter others from doing so. If you let them get away with it, then you're not serious. You don't take yourself seriously. I take myself seriously. I won't let anyone who abused my children, what these people did to my children, to go do it to other children. I'm urging you, help me. And it doesn't cost you a thing. Just sign the petition, please. That will do. Share the posts. Let others know what's going on. We're all on the good side of fighting for the good of the public and holding people who committed heinous crimes accountable, irrespective of who they are. So we as I said earlier on, we have when they then moved me, when the mother in prison, mother plot was exposed in prison, in an attempt to smear me, to blackmail me. That's when Brian Levison, you will see Nicky DiTaranto, this rogue doctor, involved in kidnapping me and holding me hostage in James Farm prison, Chase Farm Hospital. Nicky, the so-called Dr. Nicky DiTaranto. Nicky DiTaranto is a friend of Brian Levison. So Brian Levison, all Brian Levison did was call her and say, I want you to blackmail this man and say he's suffering from mental illness and kidnap him and put him away. Because otherwise he will come out and he will expose that we tried to kill him. That's what she did. And then while they held me there, they gave him instruction. Again, you will hear them talking about this. Because I not only bugged the prison, one was called prison, I also bugged Chase Farm Hospital. I bugged their meeting rooms. So I heard everything they said. They didn't know that at the time. After I had tons and tons of recording, it was actually I that exposed them and said, I have been recording everything you were saying. I've been bugged, I bugged you, I knew everything that's going on. And you will also hear even people on that panel reminding these rogue doctors that the man you're holding, you will hear them in their own words. The man you're holding is smarter than you. He's a very smart man. He knows what's going on. You will hear them on these covert recordings. They keep telling these people, this man, we know he doesn't suffer mental illness, and you kept him in here doing all these things you're doing to him. He knows we know he knows what's going on because he's a very smart man. They never thought that I could get away. And if they haven't been, without my resilience, my perseverance, my determination that I will get out there and I will ensure that they can never do this to somebody else. I gathered all the evidence and ensure that I came out with the evidence. And the good human beings, other good human beings who also work for the hospital, who exposed what was going on, who put on record every day that they have told these doctors, so-called doctors, that this man doesn't suffer any mental illness and he shouldn't be here. And they don't like how they are torturing me and their attempt to assassinate me. And they raise it with the United Nations. It was only because they exposed them. Otherwise, what they wanted to do, what they were doing is every time they inject me with this substance to trigger heart attacks and muscle paralysis, and they will tell the men, the staff, to carry me and dump me in a solitary room. Sometimes they left me there for 7 days without any food or water. I couldn't brush my teeth or have a shower. They left me there to die. Heart attack continuously. Sometimes I had an attack for 3 days. And they tell everybody to ignore me. They wanted to force my heart to fail. and assassinate me. But somehow my heart pulled through. And again, my heart can only, as one of the staff, you will hear one of the staff who helped me. They took away even pen. They were, Nicky Di Taranto directed the staff to remove every pen, paper, anything that I can use to write something down. Tell them not to post my letters outside or to give me any letter from inside or to allow anyone to contact me or to allow me to go venture outside. I was kept in a small location for these years because, as you will hear Nicky Di Taranto say, if the press hear what was going on, if an MP hear what was going on, they are in trouble. Because they knew they were told to murder me, and they were doing it. So they will lock me up in there, and I have this heart attack for at times three days, that I managed to succeed. But I never stopped telling them that I will get out, and I will hold them accountable. And I told them, I'm sure that the public will not hear like what happened to me. And the public will know that they need to stop them doing this to somebody else. And that's why when they were exposed, they never wanted to let me go. They were injecting me, even when one of the doctors, that Katan, all these so-called doctors were good before. They were all like good human beings before. But then you will hear them in the room talking about their instruction. And who was giving the instruction? Brian Levison, the Commissioner of Police, Cressida Dick, the so-called Mr. Justice Foskett, and the senior government lawyers who were their foot soldiers, including Hugh Tomlinson, told them never to let me out, but to assassinate me to ensure that I never can come out. But they know they couldn't, if they assassinate me, as they've confirmed, word has gotten out. They're not going to get away with it. So what they wanted to do is to keep me in perpetual hostage in a mental institution. I stayed with people with severe mental illness for 3 years. But somehow I managed. They tortured me. I stayed, they say, weeks without giving me any food or water. They will torture me. They 15 men, you will see 15 men, a staff, you will see an email from one of the staff. He was so worried about each time they will send 15 men who will violently assault me until I lose consciousness. And they will tell them to dump me in a solitary room. And they dump me there at times for 7 days without food, without water. When they are not doing that to me, they will starve me for weeks with no food, no water, no drink. I had to go, when I shower, I drink from the a toilet sink. That's how I drank water, because I needed to keep my liver or my main organs, vital organs, not to damage them. And what they've done to me has caused me so much trauma that I have to somehow put that all behind me to hold these people accountable, to ensure they cannot do it to somebody else. I want you, please, I urge you again, read the evidence and act on the evidence. Please sign the petition. Please share this post. Please ensure that people who did this can never do it to another person. You will read what they did to my children, what they did to my wife. No human being is supposed to go through what this individual did to my children. They terrorized my children. They terrorized my wife until they drove her insane. And all this were organized by the British government. I'm not saying it. You will see the evidence yourself. The government lawyers themselves confirmed that in the covert recordings. The rogue doctors confirmed that in the cover recordings. You will see it, and there are tons and tons. I haven't released, there are so many that I haven't even released, but I've released a lot, and you can read them. Please help this campaign. Justice for Ezeugo family. Thank you very much.